just sort of give you an update on how our van experience with our new van has been. We picked it up on the 12th of July from Brisbane RVs. This is a replacement for a van that was already that they took back and refunded our money on because it was unroadworthy and continually swayed behind all sorts of vehicles, every vehicle. Our vehicle, Pajero Sport and a Ford Ranger, Holden Colorado. The only thing it allegedly didn't sway behind was their own Land Cruiser 200 series. But anyway, they refunded us on that one, built us a new van which we waited 9 months for thereabouts. It's turned up way too heavy on the ball, unusable, really. We've got a car that'll take a 310 kilo tow ball weight. It ended up coming in at about, according to them, about 290 kilos on the ball, which really means you can't load anything into it. So they agreed that they would move water tanks from the front of the van to the back of the van, towards the back of the van, between the axles, and to move the two 300 amp hour lithium batteries from under the bed back to over the axles as well, inside. So they did that, brought the weight down to like an acceptable level, 240 thereabouts on the tow ball, which means that we can actually use it. But then when we went to use the van, it turns out the tanks are actually over the top of the trailing arms on the independent suspension. So every time you hit a bump, the arms come up and smash into the tanks. So obviously that's not sustainable. So finally, it's already been up there several times to have this work done. So then they agreed to go back and rectify it again. So I went up there it was booked in for the 8th, 9th and 10th of November. I delivered it to them on about the 3rd, a week early basically, for them to do it. And anyway, it got more and more difficult to deal with and not wanting to make changes along the way. So this week the email from them stated that they've done the cabling and electrical work under the van to the standard of their normal vans, and repaired the water tanks. Actually, an interesting stat. Now I'll just reverse the wheel nuts on the van were 19mm on the front and 21mm on the rear, for whatever reason, on both sides. So I asked them to change them all to 19mm so they would match the legs, the support legs as well, so I don't have to carry extra sockets, etc. But they actually turned around and made all the wheel nuts 21mm instead. So it's almost... anyway, the water tanks are done and the electrical work under the van is done to the standard of their normal caravans. But I just wanted to show you this as we get underneath. So we've got leaking water tanks at the back and at the front. So there's water on the ground. This has been sitting here overnight, and water down there. But the truly, well, almost comical thing, check the wiring under the van. Alright, this is apparently to their normal standard on caravans, and it just hangs around underneath the van. This is a full off-road van apparently, so this is so you can drag it over stumps and sand and all the rest of it, and just tear it off the bottom of your van. Great work, guys. It's really good. Before that, they actually had the cables zip tied up onto these threaded rods. So I think for the rectification of that, all they've done is actually cut the zip ties. Very, very disappointing, but I picked the van up yesterday and decided to come home and rectify it myself. They've replaced water tanks in this. They apparently don't know how to make the gauges read properly, so at the moment I have no water gauges working. Just totally incompetent and unhelpful in so many ways. But anyway, that's the end of my rant. Cheers.